Yo, what is going on, guys? I'm super excited for today's live. Super happy to have you here because this one is going to be a big one. It's going to be a breakdown of exactly how I help men in tech build an athletic physique in as little as 90 days with my hybrid calisthenics method. I've had so many people ask me, what do I do? How do I eat? How do I train? What is it that I do to look the way that I do and how I maintain it? And today I'm going to be breaking down step by step in detail exactly how I do that for myself and how I do that for my clients. So I'm just super excited for this training today. So real quick, let me just share a story with you, just to let you know a little bit about myself and kind of what led me into being where I'm at today and what my background was before. So back before I discovered calisthenics, I struggle with my fitness. I actually started my fitness journey at 14 years old, and for the first 10 years of my fitness journey, there was a lot of inconsistencies. There was a lot of not eating right. There was a lot of periods where I'd be consistent and then I would fall off, and just plenty of times where I just wasn't able to really dial in my nutrition and dial in my fitness and get everything on point. Also, right before I started getting serious, the first, like the year or two before I got more serious on my fitness journey, I was working as an audio tech in downtown Nashville at some of the bigger clubs down there, and I was working sometimes 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week, sometimes like three 16-hour days in a row. And then I was working till like 3 in the morning, things like that. So I'd be up all night. I'd be working super long days. I would, not necessarily be in the healthiest environment. I was, my time was just taken up. I was spending a lot of time sitting constantly, which was wearing on my back, wearing on my body, wearing on my neck, causing postural issues, causing muscle imbalances. And I was struggling. Like, I wasn't able to keep up on my nutrition because being down there, it was like there wasn't a lot of healthy options. Thankfully, where I worked did have some healthy options, so I wasn't just eating junk all the time. But I was struggling to really get my nutrition dialed in, my workout routine dialed in. I could barely make it to the gym. I remember there being multiple times where I was starting this 90-day workout program, and I started it probably 6 or 7 times, and I would never get past like 2 to 2.5 months. I could not stay consistent for 90 days for years. And this happened multiple times. And it really wasn't until I got into calisthenics in 2020 when all the gyms were closed and I started training more of a calisthenics style of training that I was able to get super consistent and super disciplined. And for the last 5 years, I've pretty much never fallen off the wagon in terms of my fitness journey and my progress, aside from, getting sick or maybe going on a vacation or whatever. For the most part, I have not missed more than maybe 1 to 2 weeks maximum out of the gym in 5 years. And that's how I've been able to maintain, how I look after all these years. Despite the fact that I had a busy life, a late night schedule, it's hard to get to the gym, etc. If any of that sounds like because I know I have more of an audio tech background, but I was, even in all my spare time, I was spending pretty much all my free time behind a computer desk, working on music, working on whatever. Now it's working on coding and software. If any of that sounds like if you've worked those super long hours, if you've spent most of your life behind a desk, if you've spent way too much time sitting, if you're struggling to get in the gym, things like that. If any of that sounds familiar or something relatable, comment hashtag relate in the comments below, just to see if, just to let me know that you relate to those problems. If you relate to any of those problems, comment hashtag relate below. Let me get a quick drink real quick before we continue on. Also, I mentioned earlier that this is catered towards the guys who are in tech, right? But if you're not in tech and you happen to be watching this on the replay, there's still a lot of value in this video. But this is definitely more focused on the guys in tech who are struggling with the same problems that I've dealt with. So, which leads me into my next point, which is, a lot of guys in tech are struggling with a handful of things. I've talked to quite a few guys, and the struggles that I'm finding that most guys in tech deal with is one of them is thinking that eating healthy is enough. A lot of guys I've talked to say they're eating healthy, they're making moves, to try to eat better, to take better care of their bodies, they're trying, but maybe they're still struggling to lose the weight, but they're eating healthy, right? Um, another thing that a lot of guys are struggling with is thinking that, they need access to a gym or gym equipment. A lot of guys in tech, they either can't get to a gym because they're working remote, or maybe it's just too time consuming to go to the gym, or they don't feel like going to the gym because it's out of the way. A lot of guys also struggle with like maybe not feeling comfortable working out in the gym. Maybe they're afraid of being judged or ridiculed. And, so the gym can be a scary place for some guys, right? And a lot of guys think that they need the gym to get in athletic shape. Also, a lot of guys seem to think there's a lot of time required in fitness. Like it somehow takes a copious amount of time to build an athletic physique. Because time and time again, I find guys telling me that they don't have the time. They just don't have the time to dedicate towards their fitness. And then the last thing is that most guys tell me that they struggle with motivation. It seems like with guys in the tech space, motivation seems to be a huge one. And a lot of them think that, lack of motivation is the problem. Um, these are the problems that I find to be the most common amongst guys in the tech space. And what I want to tell you about that is I got a little story to share. So back when I first started, right? And so I was saying earlier how a lot of guys in tech believe that eating healthy is enough. That's one of you guys. Let me know in the comments if you're one of the guys that thinks that eating healthy is enough, right? So I used to think that I was eating healthy all the time. I went through periods of my life where I was, making different changes to my nutrition. At a young age, the first thing I was trying to do was avoid fat. I thought I was eating healthy by avoiding fat, even if I ate candy that had no fat in it. So even though candy was unhealthy, it had no fat. So I was trying to cut out all fats and I thought I was eating healthy, right? I'd cut out a lot of fast food when I was younger, but then I was like eating Subway and I thought Subway was healthy. Turns out Subway's not healthy, right? I would think I was making healthier choices through a variety of different things, and maybe that's you. Maybe you think you're eating healthy because maybe you're eating all lean meats and vegetables, but perhaps you're not hitting your macro goals. Or maybe you think you're eating healthy because you're eating that, was it like Special K cereal? And the reality is Special K cereal still has a lot of sugar and a lot of calories. Or you're eating things that are labeled all natural, but they have a bunch of stuff in them that you didn't think that they had, even though they're labeled all natural. And so you think that you're eating healthy maybe by cutting out all of something, or you know buying things with certain labels on them or whatever. And the truth is that it's not allowing you to hit your macro goals, and it may not even really be healthy. I've been there, I've done a lot of that stuff. So and eating healthy is different to everybody, right? Like what you think is healthy and what I think is healthy. Like some people, when they say I'm eating healthy, that means that you know, they're eating maybe not complete crap, but they're still not eating that good of stuff. And then somebody else, they think they're eating healthy, but then they're snacking all the time, right? So when someone says they're eating healthy, a lot of the time that's not them eating in a way that's going to allow them to hit their goals. And I did this for a long time. I was eating healthy in my opinion, but I still wasn't able to build the muscle and see the transformation that I wanted to see, right? And it wasn't until I got things dialed in the right way that I was able to see results. Another thing is, like I said earlier, a lot of guys believe that they need a gym. It wasn't until I didn't have a gym back in 2020 when the pandemic was going on that I was able to actually start laying down the foundation for the best physique I ever had. And most of my physique was built with calisthenics. Now, don't get me wrong, I did eventually use weights and external resistance as well, and resistance bands and things like that to accompany my calisthenics, right? That's why I do hybrid calisthenics, not just calisthenics, is because I think there's strength in both. But the fact is that I was able to build the foundation for a strong physique, and most of my physique was built without even needing gym equipment. So if you think that you need a full-blown gym to get in shape, you're absolutely wrong. You don't need a gym. Another thing is that I spent roughly 45 minutes to an hour a day, 5 days a week building this physique. So a lot of guys, right? They think that they need more time. They say, I don't have the time. The thing is there's, I think, 168 hours in a week. And if you sleep 8 hours a night, then you're sleeping for 56 hours a day, a week, excuse me. And if you work 40 hours a week, then between the sleeping and the working, you should have, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 72 hours. I have to do the math on that, but I think it's like 72 hours you have left. And so you only need roughly around 3.5 to 5 hours of that time per week to achieve and maintain an athletic physique in terms of the time that you're actually having to put into the gym. Of course, there's all the time that you're outside of the gym, like your sleeping and your eating habits that are going to affect your results. But in terms of the actual active work that you have to put in to actually achieve a athletic physique, we're talking like 3.5 to 5 hours a week. Not even that much time. And I was able to do it on that much time, right? Even when I had a busy schedule, even when I had a lot going on, even after the pandemic when I was working again, it I was still able to do it in about 5 hours a week. Not that much time. The other thing a lot of guys struggle with, like I said earlier, is motivation. And what I've come to realize is that, motivation was also kind of a problem for me. That's why I struggle with consistency. I had started with lifting weights and doing some body weight stuff when I was younger, but over time I was just getting bored. Lifting weights wasn't fun. I didn't find the gym to be fun or enjoyable, and so a lot of the time it was just easy to fall off. And a lot of the time I also wasn't seeing the results I wanted to see, so it was easy to quit and to fall off. But the fact is that once I found something that inspired me, that gave me something to work towards and grow towards, that's when I became passionate about the gym. When I discovered calisthenics, for me personally, I was seeing these guys do all this crazy body weight stuff, and I realized I wanted to do that. And then that's what kept training fun for me, because there was always something I could push towards, something I could achieve. And, just like, everybody, right? Like us guys in tech, we love to learn, we love to grow, we love to achieve new things and learn new things and create new things. And if we could have the same mentality and apply that towards our fitness, where we have something that we're looking forward to, growth and progression, and we feel like we're actually, you know, learning new things and improving and always have something to work towards, then it gives fitness something it gives you something to work towards on your fitness journey, making it a lot more fun. You don't have to feel motivated to do things that you enjoy, right? Like, I don't think you've ever had to feel motivated to play a video game, right? Or to watch a movie. But but you do have to feel motivated to do things you don't want to do. But if you can flip that paradigm in your mind and find a way of training that you like, that you enjoy, that works for you, then you're not going to have to feel motivated to go to the gym. You're going to be able to go to the gym and stay consistent because you enjoy it. Now, for me, it was calisthenics, right? Maybe for you, it's jogging. Maybe for you, it's running. Maybe for you, it's martial arts. Maybe for you, it's something else. For me, it was definitely calisthenics and martial arts, those two things together, right? But if find something that inspires you, find something that you enjoy. And if calisthenics isn't the right fit for you, then I'm probably not the right coach for you, because that's what inspired and motivated me to go to the gym, right? But the point is you have to find something that inspires you and motivates you to go to the gym, something that you enjoy, because then you won't struggle with motivation again. But if calisthenics is something that you're interested in, then I probably am the right coach for you, because that's exactly what I focus on, and that's what inspired me to stay consistent in the gym. So now that I've covered all that, went over the things that guys believe that is probably hindering them from hitting their fitness goals, but now I've broken down what it is that allowed me to actually overcome those things. Comment #yes if that stuff makes sense. Just comment below, let me know if any of that stuff makes sense. All right, so now I want to dive into exactly how I help my clients, break down my hybrid calisthenics method and exactly what I do to help men transform their physiques. And the first thing is the flex nutrition. So this is the nutrition aspect of my hybrid calisthenics method. And the reason I call it flex nutrition is it's short for flexible nutrition. So I don't believe in putting people on diets. I don't believe in putting people on some kind of a restrictive diet, because the thing about a diet, man, is when people say I'm going on a diet, that implies at some point they're going to come off the diet, right? This is a lifestyle change. This isn't just a temporary fix. This is a lifestyle change, so that way you can maintain it for the rest of your life. And my goal with my nutrition plan is to help you have a plan that you actually enjoy, that's based around things that you enjoy eating, that allows you to hit all your macro goals, hit your protein goals, hit your calorie goals, and be able to build an athletic physique, eating how you enjoy eating so you never feel tempted to fall off again. And that way you can stay consistent for the rest of your life. And this is going to be a non-restrictive plan. I'm not trying to sit here and say cut out all carbs, cut out all sugars, cut out all, meat, cut out all vegetables. I'm not trying to be restrictive, right? This is a plan that's based around what you say you like to eat and what you don't like to eat, that's built for you. And this is an adjustable plan too, because over time, maybe you get bored of your plan. Maybe you want things added. Maybe you want things changed. If you're a client of mine, then I will adjust your plan. I will accommodate those things, and I will adjust it in a way that allows you to hit your goals, right? And another component of getting your nutrition right is tracking. So if you're one of my clients and you're following a nutrition plan that I've given you, you don't really have to worry as much about tracking, because everything that you're eating is going to hit your macro goals anyway without you having to count them. But of course, there's going to be times where you're probably not going to eat perfectly to the plan, right? There's going to be times where you go out to eat or something like that. And if that's the case, you're going to want to track. And tracking is not as important once you're already in shape and you get in the habit of following a plan. But it is super important when you're starting and you're trying to get on track and you're trying to understand what it is that you need, in terms of your macros and like how much are you eating, how little are you eating. It's going to be super important in the beginning when you're trying to get there to track, right? Again, unless you're following a nutrition plan I gave you, you won't have to track as much, but still tracking when you, in the times where maybe you do fall off of that plan, because there's going to be times that you do, tracking is going to be super important. But once you get everything dialed in and you get into a plan, you get into a habit, and you get your body where you want it to be, tracking is not going to be something that you have to do forever. I know a lot of guys just don't want to track. I know it's a bit tedious, but in the beginning, it's going to help you a lot. All right. But that's how I handle the nutrition, making sure you have a plan that you actually enjoy eating, and enjoy following, right? With the workouts, we're going to move on to the, my actual training method. So my methods are based around hybrid calisthenics. So I'm going to be more focused on a calisthenics as the base, with external resistance to supplement the weaknesses in calisthenics. So calisthenics is great for building functional strength. It's great for having no excuses, because you can work out anywhere. You don't need a gym. You can work out with your own body weight. And with just a little bit of extra equipment like bands or a doorway pull-up bar combined with calisthenics, you pretty much have everything you need to build a nice, good, strong, well-rounded athletic physique. As well as calisthenics is great for building functional strength and strengthening your joints, strengthening your body. And overall, I find it to be the best in terms of what's the word? The best in terms of being efficient with your time, because you don't have to commute to a gym necessarily. And it eliminates all excuses, and it builds functional strength that's going to help you excel in your career and going to help you excel in all areas of your life. And that's what I love so much about calisthenics, right? So my plan is going to be focused with a focus on calisthenics with some external resistance to focus on the weak points, because calisthenics does have weak points. There's certain muscle groups that are hard to train with purely body weight alone. And then that's where the external resistance comes in. But again, even if you don't have a gym, resistance bands, or maybe just a couple dumbbells, or, a doorway pull-up bar, these things can allow you to work out completely from home without needing any extra equipment, right? So that'll save you a lot of time, and that'll make working out a lot more convenient for you. The next thing is my workouts are on average 45 minutes to 60 minutes per day, 3 to 5 days a week. So you don't need to sit here and spend 10, 15, 20 hours in the gym a week. I'm going to be building a plan for you that is around 45 minutes to an hour for your workout routines, 5 days a week on average. Of course, if you have different limitations, maybe you can only work out 3 days a week. I will accommodate and I will build your plan around 3 days a week instead of 5 days a week. But the point is that it's not super time consuming. I'm not telling you to be a gym rat and live in the gym. I'm building a program that is very efficient in terms of your time and isn't going to cost you a bunch of time every week. Let's see. And then the next thing is I'm going to be incorporating, external resistance training, or I'm going to be incorporating postural training. So a big thing with guys who sit all the time is we have a lot of muscle imbalances. We have a lot of overactive muscles, such as our pecs, usually because we're like rolled forward, right? A lot of the time we have underactive muscles, such as our traps back here, such as our rotator cuff, such as our rear delts. A lot of our postural muscles are going to be underdeveloped a lot of the time. We're going to a lot of the time have tight hip flexors and underdeveloped glutes and all sorts of things from sitting all the time. And you have to have postural training included to help strengthen and improve your posture in your routines. So I include a lot of that in my programs, so that way you don't even have to worry about that. You can start strengthening your posture, correcting some of your poor posture, and overall improving upon your physique and fixing some of those problems. I used to have a lot of neck pain right here, right where my neck goes into my back. Pretty much just this one spot right here. And between getting a better chair, eventually getting a standing desk, and of course incorporating postural training, a lot of that stuff improved. I still experience some pain there just when I'm in bad posture for long periods of time, because a lot of the time I still do sit, but I incorporated a lot of that stuff and it helped a lot. At one point, I was experiencing a lot of pain in the back of my right shoulder when I was doing pushing exercises, and I started incorporating more postural exercises, and I was able to correct my own discomfort by doing that. It was the fact that I had an underdeveloped rotator cuff on my right side that was getting undertrained while my pushing muscles were getting trained too much. I'm incorporating a lot of these exercises into your program to make sure that despite all the sitting that you're doing all the time working in tech, that you will be able to have a good posture and a strong, well-rounded physique and not be held back by that. And of course, the last thing really is just being able to manage your own time. So, I put these in a calendar for my client, but for you to actually make time in your life for your workouts, you're probably going to have to sit down with your own calendar and organize your time. You're going to have to sit here and figure out what time of the day are you going to work out. You know, as men, we've got a lot to do. We've got a lot on our plates, and we've got to manage our schedules, manage time with family, manage time at your work, manage time taking care of your responsibilities. And you're going to have to manage time as far as where in the day are you going to work out, right? Sitting down with Google Calendar and organizing your time is going to show you exactly how much time you have and how much time you don't have. And it's going to be very eye-opening for you. So if time is something you're really struggling with, even 30 minutes to an hour of working out a day is something that's really hard for you to fit into your schedule, sit down with a calendar, organize your time, and figure out where you're going to put it in, because you have to take care of your body. You're the leader of your own home, so you have to take care of your body, and you have to be there so that way you can continue to take care of yourself and provide for your family, right? And if you don't have a family right now, your future family, right? But making your health and your fitness a priority is absolutely essential, right? And the last thing that I help guys with in my hybrid calisthenics method is accountability. So, obviously, if you're working out on your own, you will need self accountability, and you will also potentially need a accountability partner. If you can't hold yourself accountable. But when you work with me and you're one of my clients, what I do with my clients is I do bi-weekly calls. So every couple weeks, I'm going to be hopping on a video chat, talking with my clients about how their training is going, what they need to improve on, things like that. I'm going to be talking with my clients every couple weeks, so that way I know exactly where they're at and I can help them. On top of that, with my clients, I'm able to see when they're hitting their macros. I'm able to see when they're completing their workouts. I'm able to see how they're progressing. And if you're not on top of your workouts, I'm going to be on top of you. If you're not on top of your nutrition plan, I'm going to be on top of you. I'm going to be texting you. I'm going to be contacting you and being on top of you when you're falling off. I'm going to be your accountability partner. On top of that, I'll be available for you, pretty much 24/7 for you to contact and text me and communicate with me when you need help with your form, when you need help with anything. If you have any kind of questions about working out or your nutrition or anything, I'm available 24/7. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I'll respond the moment I get a text, but within like 24 hours, right? I will respond to your messages, and you can text me at any point during the day, and I'm there to help you as your coach with your fitness journey. And so basically it's through those things, through the workout program, through the flex nutrition, and through the accountability, that I'm able to help people help men build an athletic physique in as little as 90 days with my hybrid calisthenics method. Now, if this sounds great to you, and this is something that you really, really want, like you'd really like to potentially be a client of course, comment, let me know. But I do have a 90-day tech fit roadmap. This is a free guide. If you want this, be sure to comment hashtag TechFit. This 90-day roadmap is going to be a foundation for you to build your athletic physique in 90 days and to help you as a tech professional get in shape in the next 90 days. If you want this free guide, be sure to comment hashtag TechFit below this video or below this live. And of course, if you're watching it on the replay, this is going to be on my YouTube channel. So if you're watching this on the replay, you can of course message me on like my LinkedIn. It'll be in the description of the video, and I will send you that Tech Fit guide. And of course, if you've commented at any point in this video, I'm going to be reaching out to you after this video to see what it is that you need help with, what your challenges are with your fitness journey, and of course, to deliver that free guide if you said that you wanted it. And lastly, just to recap and close, it's not really about eating healthy. It's about having a nutrition plan that you actually like to eat, that you like to follow, that you enjoy, so that way you never fall off track. Again, that allows you to hit your macros so that way you can achieve the results that you're wanting to in the gym. The next thing is, it's not about spending a lot of time in the gym. It's just about a matter of being intentional with your execution while you're in the gym, training the right way, and making the most of the time that you have while you're in the gym. It really doesn't take more than maybe 3 to 5 hours a week to build an athletic physique. And, on top of that, motivation is not the problem. So if you've been struggling with motivation, just know it's not a motivation thing. It's the fact that you aren't inspired by the type of training that you're doing. You have to find a type of training that excites you. And maybe that's calisthenics, maybe it's something else. For me, it was calisthenics. And if calisthenics is something that aligns with you, then again, I'm probably the right coach for you. But if it's not, perhaps somebody else is the right coach for you. But find a style of training that works for you, that you enjoy, that excites you to go to the gym, and you'll never have a problem with motivation ever again. And of course, if accountability is the problem, hiring a coach is going to help you a lot. If you don't want to hire a coach, of course, you can offer, you can start doing like self accountability, like set up self accountability systems, or get an accountability partner. But having some form of accountability to keep you on point and keep you on track is going to help you dramatically. And for a lot of guys, it's what they need. And that's what I help my clients with. So that is my hybrid calisthenics method. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.